Introduction to field of VLSI. Microelectronics. It is the art, science and technology of designing and fabricating integrated circuits with small dimension electronic devices. By small dimension, we do not mean millimeters or micrometers, but we mean nanometers, that is 10 raised to minus 9 meters. And by electronic devices, we mean transistors, and by transistors, we mean MOSFETs and not BJTs. The various areas of microelectronics are VLSI design, VLSI CAD tools, technology and fabrication, semiconductor device physics, modeling and simulation, characterization, and testing. VLSI design deals with designing circuits, especially using hardware description languages such as VHDL, Verilog, and System Verilog. CAD tools deal with those softwares which are used for synthesis of HDL codes and with the tools which help us to make circuit layouts. Technology and fabrication deals with the technology scaling of semiconductor devices, and fabrication deals with realizing integrated circuits. Semiconductor device physics deals with various aspects of transistors such as doping concentrations, geometries, IV characteristics, threshold voltage, etc. Modeling and simulation deals with mathematical models of devices and simulating them to realize or test their IV characteristics. Characterization, modeling, and simulation are tightly packed to each other, and testing deals with testing integrated circuits which contain billions of transistors. Technological advancement in the field of microelectronics has scaled down the transistor from this size to this size. So while we see the transistor here can be BC547 or TIP122, which is on a macroscopic scale, and billions of such transistors are packed or fabricated in a chip which has a total area of less than 100 millimeter square. So can you explain what is small scale integration? We have studied that small scale integration means an IC which contains 1 to 9 gates. Medium scale integration 10 to 99 gates. Large scale integration 100 to 999. Very large scale integration 1000 to 9999. Then you have ultra large scale integration, super ultra large scale integration, and we have giant scale integration. So in the year 2020, where there are more than 36 billion transistors in a chip, we are living in an era of giant scale integration. Let us use the right words. Bridges are constructed, PCBs are manufactured, and integrated circuits are fabricated. From calculators to smartphones, we see that the number of transistors which are fabricated on a chip has increased from 2900 transistors in 1971 to 29,000 in 1978 to 1 crore, 4.4 crores, 22 crores, 77 crores, and ultimately the latest Snapdragon chips from Qualcomm contain more than 2 billion transistors and they are as small as 7 nanometers. This is the transistor evolution chart from 2300 in 1971 to almost 59 crores in 2004. Increasing transistor density, the number of transistors which have been fabricated on a silicon wafer have increased exponentially right from the year 1970 till date. We see here that way back in 1971, the processors were 4-bit, they were single core, about 2000 transistors, they operated at 0.74 megahertz. The smallest transistor was as large as 10,000 nanometer and the supply voltage was 15 volts and they dissipated almost 1 watt of power. In 49 years, we have 64-bit microprocessors, octa-core, number of transistors are in billions, operating frequency is about 5 gigahertz, transistors have become as small as 10 nanometers, and supply voltage has dropped from 15 volts to 1.32 volts. The only alarming feature is the power dissipation has increased by a factor of 95. VLSI is all about both large and small. What is large? The number of transistors is very large, about 34 billion or 34 into 10 raised to plus 9. And all these transistors are fabricated in an area of only about 81 millimeter square. What is small? The transistor size is small. The channel lengths are of the order of nanometers, 10 raised to minus 9. That is why VLSI is about a very large number of transistors, 10 raised to plus 9. What is small about it is the transistors are as small as few nanometers. The laws which drive this big small show. Gordon Moore, the founder of Intel Incorporation, stated a law which came to be known as Moore's first law. The number of transistors incorporated in a chip shall double every month, which means that if today or in January 2020, if X number of transistors are fabricated in a chip with area 5 millimeter square, then after 18 months, I should be able to fabricate 2x number of transistors in the same area of y millimeter square. Moore's second law. The cost of a chip fabrication plant will double every 4 years, which means today if a fabrication plant costs 1 billion rupees, then its cost will become 2 billion rupees in 2024. Inverse Moore's law. The cost of implementing a functionality in silicon will reduce by a factor of 2 every 2 years. That is, if a processor costs 20,000 today, then it will cost 20,000 upon 2 raised to 2 after 4 years, that is 5,000 rupees. Chip miniaturization law. The size of a chip is reduced by a factor of 2 every 4 years. The features and challenges of modern designs are as follows. Deep, deep submicron technology. We know that 1 micron, that is 1 micrometer, is equal to 1000 nanometer. Anything from 1000 nanometer down to 100 nanometer is called as submicron, while any dimension less than 100 nanometers is called as deep submicron. The processor speeds have gone up to 3 gigahertz with a turbo frequency up to 5 gigahertz. Low power dual data rate 5th generation RAMs are able to operate at 3.3 gigahertz and are used in Samsung's S20 Ultra Plus smartphone. The architectures have gone from single core to multi core, that is quad, hexa, octa, and deca, up to 18 cores in i9 10th generation. The semiconductors have gone from single crystal semiconductors to compound semiconductors such as silicon germanium, gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, indium phosphide, and silicon carbide. The device structures have changed from bulk MOSFET, that is 2D structures, to FinFET or 3D structures, and VNW FETs, that is vertical nanowire field effect transistors. The pin counts on an IC have gone up to 2066, and the processor architectures are no longer homogeneous but have become heterogeneous, also called as big little. That is, a single core is divided into two cores. One core is called as high performance core, and second is called as energy efficient core. Qualcomm in all of its Snapdragon processors 625 and above is using the big little architecture. Let's check how observant we are. Can you name different processor segments? Did not get my question. Mention different gadgets which use processors or microcontrollers. Here we are. Laptop processors, desktop processors, smartphone processors, smartwatch processors, single board computers or Raspberry Pi, iPad, iPhones, and MacBooks. And all these gadgets use different types of processors. All values in nanometers. Find a consistent thread in this: 500, 350, 250, 180, 120, 90, 65, 45, 32, 22, 16, and 12, and here 10, 7, 5, 3. It is very easy to find that the next number in the list is the previous number divided by root 2. Yes, every successive number is previous upon root 2. We will soon find the reason why is it so. Have you read such boastings? World's first 28 nanometer FPGA, smartphone specs Snapdragon 865, 7 nanometer FinFET, Intel's i9 10th generation 10 nanometer Ice Lake. क्या है ये सब? 28, 10, 7 nanometers. Yes. So these figures like 28, 7, 10, 28, etc. are nothing but the channel lengths of the smallest transistor on the wafer. We see that a planar structure of MOSFET has length L and width W. It is well known that the area of a MOSFET is width into length. Now, if you want to fabricate double the number of transistors in the same wafer area, it is but obvious that the MOSFET's area must reduce by a factor of 2, and since MOSFET area is equal to W into L, then the width and length must be scaled down by the same factor. So only when the width and length are scaled down or divided by a factor root 2, only then the MOSFET's area will reduce by a factor of 2. That is why we say that every technology evolution aims at scaling down the width and length of MOSFET by a factor of root 2 so as to realize double the number of fabrication in the same silicon area. Intel and AMD are not whimsical about this trend. 14 upon root 2 is 10, 10 upon root 2 is 7, and 7 upon root 2 is 5. So all these figures are nothing but the channel lengths of a MOSFET or the drain to source separation. Evolution of processor architectures. While processor architectures have evolved from von Neumann to Harvard, to modified Harvard, and to superscalar, Intel's architectures have evolved from x86 in 1978 to Pentium to Haswell, which was aimed at reducing the power dissipation of the chip, and to the Lake series. Currently, Ice Lake, KB Lake, Tiger Lake, Coffee Lake, etc. are used in latest or Intel's i3, i5, and i7 architectures. And as the years have gone by, gradually the speed war or the gigahertz war between processor manufacturers have changed to power savings, and from power savings to multi-core or 64-bit architectures. The different VLSI IC segments are laptop or desktop processors, smartphone processors, programmable logic devices, pure ARM cores, and tailor-made cores. Examples of laptop processors are Intel's i3, i5, i7 and i9 and AMD's Ryzen series. Smartphones we have Snapdragon from Qualcomm and Helio from MediaTek. In PLDs we have highly dense FPGAs from Xilinx and Intel and Zinc products from Xilinx. Pure ARM core we have Raspberry Pi. Tailor-made cores are Samsung and Apple. So companies like Samsung and Apple and Qualcomm, they buy pure ARM cores from ARM, that is Advanced RISC Machines, and they modify to put them into their smartphones. Samsung modifies the ARM core to make its Exynos 96 series, while Apple also modifies the ARM core to put it into its iPhones and iPads, traditionally known as Apple's Bionic A10, A11, A12, A13 and A14 chips. Champs or rivals. Intel and AMD are both champions in their field, but they are also arch rivals in the laptop processor market. Similarly, in the smartphone market, Qualcomm with their Snapdragon family and MediaTek with their Helio family are both champions and rivals in the smartphone market. We see as the VLSI technology has evolved, the integrated circuits have gone from a dual inline package from 14 pins to as large as 2066 pins. Here shown is a package known as land grid array, which has the ability to encompass more than 2000 pins and is a package used by Intel's latest processors, that is i9s. Let us now see the journey from design to integrated circuit. An IC is fabricated at a setup called as fabrication lab or fab lab or a foundry or a clean room. Yes, let me correct you. These are not doctors wearing PPE. These are clean room engineers at Intel. Clean room features. Clean rooms are much cleaner than the cleanest homes on the planet. They have air curtains at room entrance, perforated flooring, laminar underflow of water. No air enters the clean room, no air leaves the room. There are vibration resistant mountings, compulsory gowning and glowing on hands, and the area of clean rooms is as big as 4 football fields, that is almost 2,30,400 square feet, and the entire area is centrally air conditioned. Here we see in the table the different clean room standards according to ISO 14641-1, and we see here that ISO 3 standard, which is known as class 1 standard, it has not more than 1000 particles whose size is greater than 100 nanometers. So I repeat, class 1 rooms conform to ISO 3 standards and they are so clean that they do not have more than 1000 particles which have size greater than 100 nanometers. And class 1 is the standard which is used by fab labs like Intel, AMD, and TSMC, that is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. So fab labs are called as class 1 clean rooms. We see here from top left corner to the top right corner, the fab lab engineers use shoe scrubbers. They wear specially provided shoes. They have gowning procedures. They not only cover their body, but they also cover their hands with gloves and also their whole face. There is a laminar airflow inside the clean room. We see here there is perforated flooring with water flowing underneath, and they are also having respiratory masks with them. Raw material for chips. The basic raw material for chips is silicon, which is extracted from silica or sand, that is silicon dioxide. The purity of silicon can be called as 9 sigma purity, that is 99.9 times 9, which is polycrystalline silicon. Polycrystalline silicon is converted into monocrystalline silicon using a special method called as Jozeralski method, also known as the crystal pulling method. And the steps for this method are shown below, wherein there is a seed crystal, and using this method, polycrystalline 9 sigma purity silicon is converted into monocrystalline silicon. What we see at the bottom right corner is called as ingots, which are cylindrical in shape. So what we see here are 99.9 sigma purity monocrystalline silicon ingots, which will be converted into silicon wafers. So silicon wafer is 12-inch in diameter. It has a thickness of 0.775 nanometers, and the weight of each silicon wafer is approximately 125 grams. What we are seeing in front is an unfabricated silicon wafer on which microprocessors will be soon fabricated. This is the process from design to fabrication, starting from top left corner. The GDS2 file, also known as the Graphics Design System 2 file, is generated by IC engineer using industry standard tools such as Cadence, and this GDS2 file acts as an input to the fabrication lab or foundry. After the GDS2 file is received by the foundry, depending upon the information it contains, such as number of transistors and its dimensions, there is ion implantation done on the silicon wafer, followed by CVD or chemical vapor deposition. Then photolithography process, also known as electron beam lithography or EBL, which uses nanometer wavelength light, which is made to fall on silicon wafer, which is covered by a photosensitive resist or a material, and only the area where the microprocessor is supposed to be fabricated is exposed to the light and it gets etched away. So this is a process of etching, which is brought about by a process known as electron beam lithography, followed by multi-layer fabrication, and after fabrication, using special microscopes called as scanning electron microscopes, transistor level checking is done. We see here a 12-inch diameter fully fabricated silicon wafer which contains hundreds of identical i3s, i5s and i9 processors is shown in the first figure. This is a stack of silicon wafers, and the stacks can either be 12-inch or 8-inch depending upon whether it is silicon or whether it is gallium arsenide or indium phosphide. We see here the flow from top left corner to top right corner. A pick and place robotic arm picks up individual processors from the wafer. They are then encapsulated inside an integrated circuit, and then they are put for commercial sale. The silicon wafer contains hundreds of i9 processors. One such square, which represents a microprocessor, is magnified and shown, and in a third figure, a larger magnification of this particular processor is shown. So the photo which is shown on the on the bottom right corner is known as microphotograph of i9, also sometimes known as photomicrograph. The shifts in trends and future trends. The technology has shifted from micron, that is 1000 nanometer technology, to deep submicron, that is less than 100 nanometers. The logic families have changed from CMOS to BiCMOS. Single element semiconductors like silicon have shifted to compound semiconductors such as silicon germanium, gallium arsenide, indium phosphide, gallium nitride, and silicon carbide. Conventional planar or 2D MOSFETs have converted into newer devices such as FinFETs, MESFETs, heterojunction bipolar transistors, and high electron mobility transistors. The war has changed from speed or gigahertz war to power dissipation war, and from power dissipation war to multi-core wars. That is single core to multi-core. From system on chip to system in package. From biomedical, biosensors, microelectromechanical systems, that is MEMS, and NEMS or nano electromechanical systems. Soon, research is going on into quantum chips and neuromorphic chips, spintronics, which deals with and exploring ferromagnetic properties of materials in order to achieve the lowest power dissipation and smallest fabrication area. Smartphones will soon evolve from 4G to 5G chipsets, and smartphones will soon convert from data consuming devices to data manipulation or data creation devices. Industry Revolution 4.0, which speaks about autonomous guided vehicles or autonomous vehicles, is soon to set. Artificial intelligence of things, that is AIoT chips for computer vision, neural networks, and machine learning, which deal with classification of unstructured data, is on the way. And tailor-made chips for rural children safety in villages have become the main social appeal. This was a brief overview of the field of VLSI, that is very large scale integration. Thank you.